What's going on, everyone? Welcome back. Today, we're going to be talking our top 5 must-own running backs for the 2024 fantasy football season. So sit back, relax, enjoy, hit that like button, subscribe, give us a follow on Twitter at AllDayPigskin to continue interacting with us there. Let us hear it in the comment section. Do you agree, disagree? Who is on your personal top 5 must-own running back list and why, along with any other questions you guys might have? We'll do our best to answer them all. But with that being said, let's get right into it. And as you can see, we've got the current running back rankings as of early August pulled up here via fantasypros based on full PPR scoring. Keep that in mind. And as I mentioned, we are talking the top 5 must-own running backs. What does that mean? Basically, these are all guys outside of the first round because, it's easy just to say Christian McCaffrey, Bijan, et cetera, but these are outside of the first round running backs that have league-winning upside. So without further ado, let's get into it. First name on our list, it is Jahmyr Gibbs of the Detroit Lions. Right now, Gibbs is right around the start of the second round type of selection, depending on the size of your leagues. And when it comes to Jahmyr Gibbs, he's in this tier with JT, with Saquon Barkley, ETN, Kyren Williams. Some people have Jonathan Taylor and Saquon Barkley ahead of Jahmyr Gibbs. I understand why. I absolutely do. You look at the backfield in Detroit, David Montgomery hasn't gone anywhere. He was a great value, the better value as far as running backs were concerned last year, and you can make a similar type of case yet again for 2024. But during this time, what happened, right? Jahmyr Gibbs steadily got more and more involved. He was the preferred pass catcher, and he was still getting his in regards to volume, in regards to rushing attempts. There were also times when David Montgomery was hurt that Jahmyr Gibbs went absolutely nuclear. And that's also a part of this equation too, right? Like if something happens to Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs becomes, I would argue, a top 3 running back, potentially a top 2 running back, something like that. Whereas in situations with Jonathan Taylor, Saquon Barkley, like the next 2 guys afterwards, their competition isn't all that much. Like their competition is with their quarterbacks. And if something happens with their quarterbacks, then the entire offense is bust. So for that reason, it's a little bit of a different situation here with Jahmyr Gibbs. And on top of that, if we're talking upside, I would argue that Jahmyr Gibbs has the highest upside out of all of these tier 2 running backs, just because of what he can do from a pass catching perspective, because of the offense that he finds himself on. And because, naturally, he's a younger guy, explosive. Last year, he showed out what he can do. Montgomery, on the flip side, another year older. And you're naturally going to see a little bit more involvement from Jahmyr Gibbs. Now, it's not going to all of a sudden be like 70-30 or 80-20 type of split, but slowly, maybe by 5%, something like that compared to last year, Gibbs will have more opportunities. You could argue he's the number 2 on this offense behind Amon-Ra. He's right there with Laporta. So I do think Jahmyr Gibbs will stay an integral part of this offense. He has more pass catching upside than Jonathan Taylor, than Saquon Barkley. And he's still on a high octane offense where he will get his opportunities. And again, he does have that scenario which we can't plan for or anything like that. But if something, God forbid, happens to Montgomery, Gibbs is even more so a league winner. But let's move on here now to another name on this list. We've got Isiah Pacheco of the Kansas City Chiefs. Comes in as the 10th overall running back. Typically, he is I would say, late second round selection, maybe early third round selection, depending on the size of your leagues. But with Pacheco, it is all about the environment surrounding him. He's also showed out on talent, but I think in this situation, it's more so around his surroundings because he's playing on an offense that is absolutely loaded. I think that Patrick Mahomes is, he's not going anywhere. He's still the best quarterback in the NFL. And I think, honestly, he's going to have a really, really strong fantasy football season on top of that, because you look at the offensive weapons here. You've still got Rashee Rice, who broke out last season. Travis Kelce is still there. You added Marquise Brown. Yes, he injured his shoulder, but expected to be back by early part of the season. You drafted Xavier Worthy. You've got a solid offensive line. So basically what the Chiefs have done is kind of retooled this offense back to, trying to replicate those top-notch Patrick Mahomes days, like when you had prime Tyreek, prime Travis Kelce, and you've added weapons that have some of those attributes, because Xavier Worthy, Marquise Brown, they can stretch the field. Travis Kelce now doesn't have to do as much. He can still be a dominant force, in those short intermediate routes. Rashee Rice can also, do his thing as well. Right now, no word has come in regards to a suspension, so might get away with that. And then everything else, it's going to be funneled through Pacheco. Andy Reid has the propensity, once he finds his running back, to go with that running back. And Pacheco proved to be the guy last year. He can do a little bit of pass catching as well. Basically, I think this offense is going to be in a lot of high-scoring games. They're going to have a lot of scoring opportunities. And when they get into that red zone, Pacheco will have his shot as well. So I think that will culminate in a lot of scoring opportunities here for him compared to, maybe some of his other counterparts in this tier. So I'm really, really in on Pacheco for this season. But let's continue to move on here with another name on this list. I want to highlight Rachaad White of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Last year it was kind of a dichotomy of a season for Rachaad White. The first part of the season, you had some really disappointing performances, right? It was a situation where he wasn't being utilized as that pass catcher that we know he could be. And there were a lot of lower scoring type of performances. But to be fair, that schedule at the start of the season for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers was not fantasy friendly to the running back position. And we said, look, it's going to be a little bit of a struggle, a little bit just being patient, practicing patience, but then it will get better. And wouldn't you know it, that's exactly what happened. Now, I can't guarantee that you're going to see the exact same pass catching work from Rachaad White at the end of last year that will translate into 2024, but the upside is there, the utilization is there. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, yet another year older. Rachaad White, one of the younger weapons on this team. He's the preferred running back overall. Now, I know that Canales is no longer there in regards to coaching staff, but the head coach, that remains the same, right? So I think that Rachaad White is still going to be involved. The offensive line is good enough to support him. I think the biggest question mark here is, what Baker Mayfield are we going to get? And if it's something similar to last year, then we will be fine. As long as he doesn't fall off a cliff, I think Rachaad White, as long as the Bucs continue to utilize him as that pass-catching running back that he can be, in PPR formats, Rachaad White presents a really, really good value. He is a third-round selection. And again, when you look at the performances from last year, it's really, really exciting to get this type of prospect in the third round. Now, to the number 4 name on our list, we've got Alvin Kamara of the New Orleans Saints. And with Alvin Kamara, I think it's a simple situation. A lot of people look at him and they say, he's getting older, he's lost a step, and there's just sexier names out there. But folks, Alvin Kamara, in regards to pure pass-catching abilities, I would put him right up there with Christian McCaffrey. These guys are not too far removed in regards to abilities, in regards to age, things like that. No major injuries. And Kamara is going to be one of the focal parts of this offense yet again. It's Chris Olave, and then it's Kamara. Because, you've got no more Michael Thomas. The running backs behind Alvin Kamara either are dealing with injuries. Williams, he's going to be a change of pace back, maybe more so in the red zone. The biggest issue with Kamara is having that touchdown upside, those rushing touchdowns go back up. Because, whether they're being vultured by Taysom Hill because of his utilization that makes us all pull our hair out, or something else, Alvin Kamara, other than that, gives you everything you want to see. Last year, obviously, wasn't the full picture because he was suspended for part of the season. But when he came back on a per-game basis, the Alvin Kamara fantasy point production was absolutely awesome. Now, towards the end of the season, kind of waned. Carr was having some issues, things like that. But I think now, with the Saints having to, maybe rely on Alvin Kamara a little bit more, where he's one of the guys that can really do it all, especially at the running back position. I think he's the most versatile running back that they have currently out of this group. He is going to get those opportunities, and he has such a high floor that I think you're going to be safe with Alvin Kamara regardless. Now, on top of that, you can get him in, and this really depends on the different platforms, but I've seen third round, I've seen fourth round for Alvin Kamara. To me, that is excellent, excellent value. And believe me, if the touchdowns just go up a little bit, Alvin Kamara will be a top 10 running back easily, because the Saints, they're going to feed him the ball in the passing attack. He's going to be the main running back out of the bunch. It's just the rushing touchdowns here, and a decent strength of schedule. So a lot of things going up for Alvin Kamara. I'm not worried about his prospects. I think that he's still got a year or two of big-time fantasy relevance. But now let's continue with the last name on our list. That is James Cook of the Buffalo Bills. And with James Cook, again, it was a situation of maybe two seasons, right? The start of the season versus the end of the season in 2023. But last year, at the end of the year, once some coaching situations, some utilizations of players got figured out, James Cook was absolutely on another level. Catching the football, just efficiency, all those things. Now, some people might be scared off by the fact that you have got Josh Allen over there, and he's going to vulture away opportunities through on the ground, rushing touchdowns. Yes, I'm not going to deny that that's the case, but that's also the case with guys like Jonathan Taylor and Saquon Barkley, right? With Jalen Hurts and Anthony Richardson. But those guys are early second-round selections, and I think James Cook, again, probably a fourth-round selection depending on the size of your leagues. He's on a really good offense, and you look at the players that are left on this offense in terms of who has the experience, who Josh Allen is comfortable with, who knows this offense in general. Like, there's no more Stephon Diggs, there's no more Gabe Davis. You've got new guys here, Curtis Samuel, Keon Coleman. They're all new names. Dalton Kincaid, you could argue, is the guy that pass catching wise could be the number one. That's why he's being drafted so highly at the tight end position. But in terms of guys that know the offense, that are comfortable with it, James Cook is very, very high on this list. I think that is going to help him here. He's going to be one of the focal points without a doubt on this offense. I think just out of necessity. And I really, really think that he will continue on from the end of the 2023 season, that type of production that we saw from him late last year, and he's going to carry that forward into 2024. But he's got everything you could want. Again, a high-powered offense, one of the focal points on this offense, not a lot of competition behind him. There's going to be a lot of scoring opportunities. He can catch the football as well. Really good situation for James Cook. And again, you can get him in the third, fourth round. That is all you need there for an absolute steal, for a potential league winner. But with that, we wrap up this breakdown of our top 5 must-own running backs for this 2024 fantasy football season. If you guys enjoyed, hit that like button, subscribe, give us a follow on Twitter at AllDayPigskin to continue interacting with us there. Let us hear in the comment section, did you agree, disagree? What other names would you put on this list and why? Along with any other questions you guys might have, we'll do our best to answer them all. But in the meantime, we'll see you guys in future